right, so here we go. Here is the final product as far as the inking goes. So this is my cover here. And I'll show you how I set it up. So of course you have the moon here and the box of cookies and this kind of ominous shadow, midnight cookies. And I feel like it did a decent job at framing it. You kind of, everything leads your eye this way. And there's my name. So there's the cover there. And this is page 1. So we open up with the moon and with this kind of fearsome look on his face. And Darcy says, "Can I have some cookies?" And then her mom, Ashley, says, "No, we've talked about this. No cookies after dark." And Darcy says, "How come?" "Just trust me on this one." "No fair." She runs out the room and then up the stairs. "Don't you dare sneak cookies after dark." "I'm going to bed." "Out of my way, lazy cat." And so there you have our sweet cat, Ophelia, and Darcy's running up the stairs away from her mom. And she goes to bed. Page 2. All right, so page 1, see right here, the last panel, you have her kind of shutting her eyes, squinting her eyes tight. And then you have the same, kind of the same frame, but you have her opening one eye and smiling. You also see her mom, Ashley, snoring. And so she sneaks down the hallway and you hear the purr of the cat. And here she is. I like this tall shot here. I like that. So you see Darcy's silhouette. She's about to come down the stairs. And her foot steps down and the stair creaks. And then she steps down again. And just in time, the kitty cat sweeps its tail out of the way. So that was a close one. That was one barrier out of the way. So at the bottom of the stairs, Darcy looks around the corner and sees the fridge with the box up there. Then you see her reaching, can't reach, and scooting the step stool across the floor. This step stool is based off of a step stool we have in our house. And it's, she steps on the step stool, easily reaches the cookies, almost there. It was almost too easy. Sneaks back up the steps, and finally back in bed. But under the covers, under the blanket, the cookie's making a weird noise. Grrr. And then it jumps up out of her hand. Now, I had debated on what to do next. So the reason why Ashley her mom didn't want Darcy sneaking cookies after bed is because cookies come alive after dark. I guess it's like some kind of Gremlins thing, huh? If you don't know what Gremlins are, ask your parents. All right, so the cookie jumps up, and I wasn't sure quite what to do with Darcy. I was going to show her kind of lying back, afraid, and a bunch of cookies jumping out of the box. But Darcy's not one to take things lying down, literally or figuratively. So our final frame, I have her charging out of the covers and punching the cookie, and the rest of the cookies are scattering. So that's where I leave it. It's real short. It's not a complex story at all, but just through a few frames, we have Darcy in a conflict with her mother, and she overcomes that conflict by waiting until her mom is asleep. And she overcomes the conflict of the cat by dumb luck, honestly. She could have easily stepped on the cat's tail and her mom would have woken up. She also has to be quiet and, This obstacle here is she's too short. She can't reach the cookies. This obstacle is that the stool is too loud when it scoots across the floor. But when she's beaten all those obstacles, the last obstacle she has are the cookies themselves, which she defeats. And so that is my short 4-page comic. Hope you enjoyed it. And next we are going to take a look at how to put it all together. All right, here we go. So this is Jonathan Worth, and I've already taken the liberty of bringing up Microsoft Word. I have went ahead and scanned in the pictures for this to my computer. So I just want to show you how to use Microsoft Word to format a 4-page comic. And we'll just be using regular printer paper. Okay, so let's get some things set up. So I have, this is just regular 8.5 by 11 size page with 1-inch margins. That's just kind of typically what Microsoft Word gives you, and you can use a different program if you want. This is what I like to use. All right, so let's go to Layout, and we'll go to Page Setup here. Now, as for margins, I like to get it about as small as you can get, which is 1/4 inch, and that's as small as you can get without the printer cutting off anything on the page. And we'll go down here to Pages, Multiple Pages. Instead of Normal, we'll go to Bookfold and hit OK. And that'll give us the size that we need. All right. And then what I like to do is I like to go to View and go to the grid lines. Click on grid lines, and this will just show you where your borders are, where your margins are. And that helps you to center the pictures on the page. So let's go ahead and get the pictures on the page. Go to Insert, Pictures, and we'll start with the cover. And so with each picture, click on the icon here, the layout options, and each picture will put in front of text. We won't have any text on the page, like as far as typed out, but this will help us to center it, and it won't move around when we put our other pictures on the page. And click here on Fix Position on Page. And then I'll double click on the picture, which should take us to Picture Format. And then click on Crop. And let me zoom in just a hair. And so we will crop it. And so make sure to click on these black lines and not on the little circles. Because if you click on the circles, it'll actually crunch your page down. We don't want to do that. We just want to crop it. Okay. And then see how it'll have some pin marks down here. We can clean that up just a little bit just by cropping it. Not too much, just a little bit. And then we will line it up. We'll zoom out here so I can see the full page. And that gives us a pretty healthy margin on the bottom. I mean, you can give yourself more of a margin on top if you like. I'm just using the arrow keys to move this around. But I'm going to give myself a pretty hefty margin down here. All right, so I'm going to double click on the bottom and hit Enter, and it'll get me the next page. I'm actually not going to put anything on this page. And the grid lines here actually won't print with the grid lines. That's just to show us where things are on the page, and so we can center things, which I find helpful. So we're going to leave this second page here blank, because it's going to be the inside of the cover. I mean, you can print something on the inside of the cover if you want, but I prefer not to. So we have our front cover inside front cover, and this is our first true page. So when we open up the cover, this will be the first thing you see on your right hand side. Okay, so insert another picture. This will be page 1. Okay, in front of text, fix position on page, double click on the picture and crop. And we don't actually want to cut off any of the picture here because we have our nice thick border lines, but we want to get as close as we can. Crop it in as close as we can. Okay. And if you have some extra like pin lines and stuff like this, don't worry about too much. I mean, one, it shows that a human did this, right? Which I am appreciating more and more humans actually doing art. But it's, you know, it's okay. Those little touches just show a person has done this. All right, so let's insert our second page. Layout options, in front of text, fix position on page. Double click on the picture and we'll crop it. Not cutting off the border, but getting as close as we can. Okay. And actually we're not going to crop that down because we have Ophelia's tail there breaking out of the panel. So I don't want to cut her tail off. All right, double click on the bottom, give us the next page. Insert page 3, in front of text, fix position on page. Actually, you don't have to double click on the picture, you can just click on it once. Okay, so crop it in. You can zoom in if you need to get as close as you can. All right, so that is page 3. Hit enter and oops. Okay. There we go. I won't worry about where the cursor is. Okay. And our final page. Whoops. What happened there? There we go. All right, and fix position on page. Okay, maybe I do have to double click. Whatever. All right, crop that in. Okay, and there we go. And so, all right, that's looking pretty good. Zoom out a little bit, take a look at the whole thing. Go back to view, click off of grid lines, and that'll show us what it'll look like. I think that's looking pretty good. Remember, you want this second page right here to be blank because that'll be the inside of the cover. The outside and the back of the covers will just print blank as they are, so we don't need to insert blank pages there. All right, I just want to double check. So I want to go to File, and make sure to save your work. You don't want to do all that work and then it not be saved. So save it, and then you print. And I just want to make sure, so under printer properties, yep, it's under booklet printing. Excellent. Because you can print one side, two side, but yeah, we want to do booklet printing. Okay. And then print on your favorite printer. And in just a second, we will take a look at our final product. All right, here we go. So I've pulled these off the printer. We've formatted them and everything. And so this is just our cover. It's pretty simple, just one page and only printed on this first half. Here is actually the meat of the comic. And so what we're going to do, so we find the first page here, first page, second, third, and fourth. So make sure they've printed out in the correct order. Otherwise, you're going to have a very confusing comic book. And so what we're going to do is just very carefully fold these together. Now, if you're printing out multiple of these, there are some copiers. Like if you go to the library, they might have a copier that does this. Oops. There are copiers that will actually fold the paper for you. So if you're printing out a bunch of these to distribute or to sell, you might be able to find a way to get the printer to do the hard work for you and fold it. There are also folding machines. I have wrestled with the folding machine, and it usually wins. So if you can't get a machine to do it, you just fold it yourself, and make sure to, do a nice, make sure to not get it all, mismatched and all that. You want everything to line up. Of course, you want your cover. So either you can, put on a podcast or some music and just fold a bunch. Or maybe you could get your parent, guardian, siblings, or a bunch of friends together and have a folding party. Okay. So we're putting this together. Right? Cool. And next, what we're going to do... So you can't just use like a regular stapler, unfortunately. You may have to invest in or find someone who owns one of these long saddle staplers. These are super duper long. Because with this, like a regular stapler, it's just not long enough to be able to, it's only... it won't reach like the entire way. But with this long saddle stapler, it's nice. You can reach to the very middle. So find the crease. And I'm going to put 2 staples in here, right? All right, that was pretty good, huh? Yeah, right on the crease. And do a second one down a little ways. That was not too bad either. And there you go. It stays together. And you can sell or distribute these. You could go to like a zine fest. I know the Chattanooga Downtown Library every year has their zine fest. And you can sell your little comic books, your little zines. And it's loads of fun, and you get to make other makers. Yeah, so hopefully through this you'll be able to make your own comic book and have a lot of fun in the process, learn a lot in the process, and yeah, kind of get your feet wet as far as making your comic book. All right, guys, that is it for me. In the process of making these videos, my hair has gotten a little longer. I've gotten new glasses. Pretty cool, huh? But I'm glad that you could join me through this. And just a last little word. I think what is most important for me is actually finishing a project. I think it's really easy to come up with a million different ideas or maybe one big idea, write a bunch of notes, draw some pictures out, but never really finish it. It's easy to dream. It's much harder to do. But actually having something to show, I think that's really important. I mean, you can tell someone about your idea, but unless you have something to show them, you just have an idea. You're a person with an idea. When you're able to execute that idea, even in a short, simple story, when you can show people, I can tell stories with pictures and words. Even if it's small, even if it's simple. If it's a good story, which I don't know if this is a good story, it was fun to write. But if you can write and if you can make a good story and show it to people, I mean, you're a writer, you're an artist, you're making comic books. Because people who make comic books make comic books. Until you make a comic book, you're just a person with an idea. Plus, it's cool to be able to hand things like this out or say, hey, I'm an artist, let me show you some of my work. And then you can connect with other artists or connect with people who might be interested in, say, investing in a project of yours. You never know what can happen, but first you gotta make it. So I encourage you, come up with an idea that's simple, but do it well. Spend time on it, but get it done. Because until you get it done, like I said, you're just a person with ideas. Well, guys, this has been a blast doing this workshop with you, this 4-part series. It's been a lot of work, a lot more work than I was expecting, but I feel like I learned so much through this. I mean, I've made some comic books, a few comic books myself, but I'm finding that the more that I do it, the more that I learn, and the more that I learn what I like, and the more I learn about my own style and my own voice. I encourage you to post in the comments and tell us about the stories that you're working on and the projects that you're working on. I'd love to see what you're doing and hear about what you're doing. And until next time, keep on making good art. I'll see you later.